Hello everyone, and welcome to another DIL concept analysis, a series of videos where I discuss about upcoming dinosaur concept arts released for Evrima. Today we will explore Suchomimus, its real-life counterpart, how it was in Legacy and how it's going to be in the future. So without further ado, sit back and enjoy the video. Suchomimus tenerensis, meaning crocodile mimic, was a large-sized theropod from the early Cretaceous, 125 million years ago in what is now West Africa. Measuring around 36 feet in length, this particular carnivore unsurprisingly belonged to the Spinosauridae family, a group of large theropods known for their long and narrow snouts and semi-aquatic tendencies, with many members of this group being extremely popular dinosaur species like Spinosaurus, Baryonyx, Ichthyovenator, and of course Suchomimus itself, being one of the largest members, only behind Spino in size and mass, but don't let that fool you. This was an enormous animal. However, unlike its fellow kin, and also as its name suggests, Sucho's skull had a lot more predominant crocodilian features in comparison to its relatives, possessing a long, low snout and narrow jaws, housing a total of 122 conical teeth curving backwards, perfectly adapted to capture its main source of nutrition, fish. As most Spinosaurids, Suchomimus had a very semi-aquatic lifestyle, habiting rivers, lakes or swamps and feeding mostly on fish and other aquatic creatures, with its skull well suited for the job as well as possessing a set of very sharp blade-like claws. This massive piscivore was an adept fisher. Another advantage worth pointing out was its bones, being much more hollow than its cousins, allowing Suchos to traverse the waters with ease and higher agility than smaller Spinosaurids like Baryonyx, making it incredibly maneuverable for a creature of that size. Being added alongside Engi on March 29, 2016, Suchomimus is amongst the oldest members of the roster, being introduced after the game's launch 4 months prior. Right from the start, this scaly bear established itself as the slower and tankier version of Allosaurus, with higher HP, bite force and comparable bleed. Despite the lack of exclusive semi-aquatic mechanics, from the very beginning, Sucho players had the tendency to stick around bodies of water, even before its modern Legacy rework, a peculiar sign of how paleomedia is capable of influencing the gameplay environment. Its balance got a bit rocky throughout the years due to the game's development, until its rework and addition to the survival game mode on January 22, 2019, the last content update made for Legacy. With an improved model, animations, calls, updated stats and more, Sucho got back its title of the tanky bleeder of V3's waters. Its reintroduction also added some quality of life features targeted to its intended experience, gaining an increased movement speed and slower stamina depletion while on water, influencing their semi-aquatic playstyle even further. Nowadays, Suchos are the tankiest and strongest non-apex carnivore in the game. It is very rare seeing one roaming far from any body of water, commonly residing in lakes and rivers for protection. But that is about to change. With its Evrima concept art released, we can now analyze and speculate how this giant piscivore will function in the new branch. This concept piece has a sizable amount of information, so let's begin right away. Starting from the left, this image shows that Suchomimus can swallow large fish whole just like Deinosuchus, while also demonstrating its piscivore tendencies. Something also showcased here, with a specimen frozen in place waiting for the right opportunity to capture its prey. This may also indicate that Suchos may have a dedicated stance solely to catch fish, improving its chances of success. On top of that, it is worth noting that fish silhouettes are visible out of the water. With inclusion of Austroraptors on top of the cliff using their underwater vision ability, there's a chance that this implies that Suchomimuses have the same capabilities while during this unique stance, but there's no tangible confirmation of that, so for now this is mere speculation. Next, there's a sequence of images displaying Sucho's ability to store water on its throat pouch, which can then be consumed by their offspring. Very cute baby Suchos, by the way. Perhaps it can also be consumed by the user themselves at a later date, but that's not shown in the concept, so there's no confirmation of such. Another use for its pouch is during hunting. Being able to hold multiple bodies at once, as shown here with the presence of 2 distinct bodies on its mouth, also demonstrating its diet variety. And lastly, we have a Sucho nest being raided by an oviraptor, unsuccessfully, and that is due to the nest's placement. It seems that Suchomimuses are the only ones allowed to build nests on mud pits. It doesn't necessarily say if it's the only place that they can nest or if they are benefited by doing so there, although being anti-oviraptor sounds beneficial enough for me. But it does mean that they have exclusive nesting locations that, depending on the map, will offer them more optimal opportunities to hatch and raise their young. With the complete absence of any form of combat, it is possible that Sucho is either completely unchanged stat-wise in comparison to its legacy counterpart, or that they have a much more passive and defensive playstyle, mostly fishing with the occasional dinosaur hunt if the opportunity surges, mostly fighting only in self-defense against other predators. That last part is very important, because now they will have to face more and deadlier foes. In Legacy, the only opponent Suchos really had to pay attention to was Spinos, since everything else was in a massive disadvantage underwater. In Evrima, however, things are much different. From the get-go, they, at the very least, will have to handle Dinosuchus, the current apex predator. Weighing an impressive 8 tons and with a bite force of 500, Dinos, in theory, will still remain as the superior semi-aquatic carnivore, not to mention other species like Berry, Megalenia, Deinocheirus and Spino again. Out of all of those, Sucho is in a very awkward position. It would be nonsensical to make it tankier than Dino since the former is only half its weight, but making Sucho much faster would also directly conflict with Berry, who's supposed to be Sucho's faster cousin. Making them equally as quick would utterly devalue Berries since the latter is just as fast but tankier and with the higher damage. But making it slower puts it at risk of being continuously hunted by Dinos because they aren't tanky enough to handle their damage output, a problem that Spinos don't have due to their sheer size. I'm not gonna jump into conclusions just yet, since with the last update we learned that even with mediocre concept arts, the final result can be pretty good. So even if the concept doesn't clarify this potential balance issue, once it gets closer to being released, we will get more information about the Suchomimus kit that might solve this concern, so until then, we will have to wait. So far, the concept art showed us the more utilitarian aspect of Sucho's playstyle, focusing a lot on its throat pouch as a multi-tool for both themselves and their offspring, which is pretty cool. Although that begs the question if this is a benefit or a necessity. In case mud pits are the only place they can nest, that would explain why they need to bring food and water to their babies. But that would also mean that they will more often than not nest pretty far away from water sources, which is a problem for the little ones if they retain their slow movement speed from Legacy, but until that is confirmed, this is just assumptions. But what do you guys think? Do you like Sucho's less violent side? Share your thoughts and opinions down below. If you want to watch previous concept analyses, there will be a playlist available in the end credits. If you are also interested in discussions about the Isle and its future, check out the rest of my content. A huge thank you for my Patreon supporters for supporting the channel and the content I create. If you want to join the ranks, you can do so for only $1 a month, the link will be in the description. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and opinions down below. Join our Discord server for memes and pillar nut stuff, and I hope to see you all next week.